Welcome, everybody, to the Baseball Blueprint Podcast, your home for all things player development, where we highlight some of the best instructors in the game of baseball. Today, we are joined by Jordan Vina from California State, San Marcos. Jordan, this is awesome to have you on the show. I've been waiting to get you on, and this is an awesome opportunity to talk some infield play.
Yeah, dude. Anytime. Anything for you. You're the man. So
All right,
appreciate it.
let's dig into this, dude. We've nerded out before over infield play, and I kind of want to get a little bit of background for potential recruits, maybe some guys who are looking to develop themselves at higher levels. What are some common problem areas that you see when it comes to these guys working into, let's say, a younger player working into your program for the first time?
Honestly, from what I've seen over the last few years, it's like just getting used to the pace of play at our level. I think most coaches will say with the portal, it's changed things drastically. But I've definitely seen it on the field because we're bringing in a lot of older guys, bringing in portal guys. They tend to pick up things a lot quicker, which makes the younger guys, it kind of makes them stand out a little more. I would also say we have a couple kids this year that the talent's there. It's just it takes a few times of telling them certain things to get it to click. I would say that's kind of the biggest separator right now, especially with where we're at with the portal.
That's awesome. And so in your experience, does that feel like it's more of a acclimation to the level of focus that's required to be elite at that level?
Yeah, for sure. Most definitely, because I mean they're coming from high school, and you're getting basically 17 to 18-year-olds being thrust into an environment with shoot. We have like 22-year-olds right now, so it's like any of us would be a little. It'd take a little bit of an adjustment to get there. But what I will say is our older guys, like we have a great group of older guys, especially in the infield right now. It fires me up. I hear them, working with these younger guys and telling them like, hey, for example, today we're working double plays. I heard one of our older guys, second baseman, really good. He's gonna be our second baseman. He tells one of our younger guys like, hey, don't forget to keep your throwing hand close to your glove. Like, don't forget that you're getting a little wide. I didn't even say anything. The older guy said that. And that's just one example. There's been, that's happening a lot right now, and that type of stuff fires me up because ultimately, I think you played this. It's a team thing. It's a team game. That's where the team gets built, and through moments like that, and through everyone helping each other. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, man. Wow. And I think the beauty of watching Cal State San Marcos kind of turn that corner to becoming at my perspective, at least right now, a regional powerhouse, right? You guys are a dangerous team in that space. So as a part of that group that's kind of made that turn, what's been the biggest contrast from what you've seen prior to maybe even with the guys that you had come in early and then to the aspect of the culture now?
Um, obviously, I think anyone who's kind of gone through a change, right, a school with some change, you're going to kind of get that old culture mixed with whatever that new coaching staff or coach is bringing in when to the best of his abilities when he can. There's so much different parameters and time periods and stuff to get guys in nowadays. We kind of had that problem where Jose Garcia, our head coach, got the job really late, and we're just kind of rushing to get guys in. But with that being said, with the new culture we're trying to build, kind of gets blended in with that old culture. It's just it could be hard. So I feel like it just took time. Like it took time to instill how we wanted to do things, how we wanted to play the game, what we believed in, and ultimately got us to our first regional in program history last year. And just I think we have a better team this year. So it's just continue to climb, and I think that was Jose's goal from the very beginning. I mean, we're in San Diego, California. And specifically we're in North County, San Diego, California. Anyone who's familiar with San Diego knows how nice this place is, and it's a hidden gem. The campus is booming. There's buildings going up everywhere. We just got approved for a new two-story huge rec center. Honestly, I think it's going to be like San Diego State here in about 3 or 4 years. So it's a hidden gem, and it was just Jose's job and our job to just do what we can to get the program where it needs to be and start getting the word out of what's special or how special this place can be.
Yeah, man, that sounds awesome. And I think one of the cool parts is kind of learning more about the journey that took you to San Marcos too. So can you give us a little bit of that background and how you ended up there?
Yeah, so in specific to San Marcos, I got lucky. I was coaching out here at Granite Hills High School, really good high school in San Diego for a couple years, and one of my really close friends, Mike Ramazzotti, he's been with the Astros the last 3 or 4 years. Was at UCSD prior to that. Him and Jose Garcia coached together, really good friends, and when Jose got the job down here, he asked Mike, if he had any recommendations for any coaches that'd be interested, and any quality coaches, infield play, stuff like that. And luckily, Ram, as we call him, put in a good word for me, and it's been a seamless transition ever since. Man, I owe Jose Garcia a lot, and Ram too, to be frank. So
That's awesome.
that's kind of what led me here to Cal State San Marcos.
That's so cool. And I think when you look at those journeys in retrospect, right, and it almost feels like, man, I'm really glad I met that guy, right?
Right,
And
right, right.
so when you have
Yeah.
that experience, right, and you get to look back and you get to reflect a little bit on your journey, are there some voices in that journey that have helped sculpt that coaching identity that you bring to practice?
Yeah, man. I don't. I try not to talk about it a lot. But I think it's kind of the elephant in the room. So my dad played in the big leagues for 13 years. Obviously, he's kind of the guy that scoped my beliefs and how I think you should play the game and my career and stuff like that. And ultimately, I also have to be grateful through him. I've been able to develop a lot of relationships in this game. You know, Andy Stankiewicz, him and my dad were really tight, and now me and his son are really tight, and I can't tell you how many times I pick up the phone and called him, and he's answered, and we've talked for hours. He's a big influence on me. Mike Ramazzotti, I don't know if you've ever been around him, but the fire he brings and the passion he brings to the baseball field, like that's something I try to, not copy, but that's something that I admire him for and try to do the best I can in regards to bringing that same type of energy and care for my players the way I've seen him do it. Uh, who else? Gary Patchett. He's another guy down here. He was a long time pro. Played, I think 5-6 years in AAA for the Angels. He was a longtime area scout for the Seattle Mariners out here in Southern California. I talk with him weekly, and he's just a brilliant infield dude. Just one of those guys. I'm sure Cody, where the way he explains things, you kind of just like, what, that makes a lot of sense. Like, you're right, and it kind of just helps you put pictures together and things like that for yourself. Sparks different things, and then finally, I would like to say Kai Correa. I think he's sparked a lot of different things for infield guys, and he's one of the most humble, down to earth guys that I've ever come across. Tucker Frawley as well. He whenever I shoot him a text, he always gets right back to me. Yeah, I mean, those are just some of the names. Stubby Clapp too. Stubby Clapp. He's the Cardinals infield coach. He played with my dad. He's another guy that I could call whenever, and he'd get right back to me and kind of pick his brain. So yeah, a lot of guys. Can't say exactly one, but I think it all boils down to just being grateful for the relationships I've been able to build in this game, and a lot of that started with my dad. So if I had to give anyone credit, it'd be him.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think,
Yeah,
and you look at the network that's built through your, I mean, even those of us who don't have parents who have played professionally, right? A lot of those
right.
relationships get sparked from them integrating you into travel ball when you're younger, or them introducing you to the right coach at the right time, right? So that's an incredible journey and an incredible network of coaches that you're able to be around. And I think for the listeners who are interested, if you're wanting to grow your network or get yourself in front of more coaches or find camps that are local, Jordan here is going to be a facet of the baseball blue book. You'll be able to find him on our app. You'll be able to find San Marcos camps when they have them, where they'll be, if there's recruiting, if that stuff's available. So you'll be able to find that through the Baseball Blue Book app, and you'll be able to find Coach Vina's socials as well, and you'll be able to follow him and his journey, and that just gives you another way to find what Coach Vina is looking for. And again, year in year out, recruiting wise, we always tend to kind of tweak things and look for things differently. So where you guys are at now, Jordan, where are you guys focused at with recruiting?
Um, Kind of like we talked about earlier. Based on we're a Division II program in Southern California. We're in the CCAA, and really really competitive program or league. Just Chico State, San Francisco State, Cal Poly Pomona, some really really respectable schools in this league. But my point is, when it comes to this league, there is a lot of older guys in this league. So if you want to compete, that's one thing I learned early from Jose is if you want to compete, you got to you have to have some experienced dudes. Whether that's junior college or now we have the portal, which is a whole another animal. So we went, our recruiting coordinator, Mark Lindsay, Jose, and myself. We really went hard in the portal this summer, last summer as well. But I think it's kind of all pointing, in that direction. Also, junior college, we always, I know Mark has a really really good network of junior college coaches, and just based on his background, Jose as well. So they did a really really good job, him and Jose this summer of hammering the junior colleges and then the portal, getting to some real talent out there. We did bring in about 5 or 6 freshmen to this class. Some really good arms. We brought in an infielder, Jerry Harrison Jr. I'm not sure, the longtime big leaguer. We have his kid there with us. Great kid, great kid. So, like, basically, the way I like to explain it is we're very junior college heavy, we're very portal heavy, but we still are looking to develop guys, and we still are going to bring in a 25 class. We have a couple camps coming up, I think in a few weeks in November, and then one in January. And we're looking at the numbers the other day, and we committed pretty much, I think, all but one of our 2025 class, our 2024 class from our camps. So, our coach Jose Garcia, he really likes to see guys before, offering, and I think I think that's why he's such a great recruiter. This guy is like the real deal. Coming from Chico State to here, like what he's done recruiting wise is I can't say enough about it, and that's. And so I agree in that aspect. We try to get guys to camp, or we try to get out and see them, and then to offer them. But our camps are a very very good way to get in front of all of us.
That's awesome, man. And again, you guys can find that on the Baseball Blue Book app. Those camp dates will be there, as well as links to registration, links to the website to find out more information there too. So let's dive into kind of our joint passion here.
Yeah.
Let's dive into some infield play here, okay?
Okay.
So Jordan, when you've got guys who are getting introduced to your program for the first time, are there some bullet points that you make sure you hit before you guys start to dig into things?
Yeah, so that's a good question, Cody. So we every fall we have Jose has it where we'll have some intro meetings, and then once we get a couple weeks in, we start having position specific meetings, and I'm obviously in charge of preparing our infield meeting, and I try to prepare a PowerPoint every year just to kind of give the guys something, a good base layer to start with, so that we're not going into, that first day on the field. And so we're not completely blind, like, hey, what's going to be going on here? What do they do here? Stuff like that. So, we start with that, kind of dig into, the way I kind of like to do is I dig into our performances last year, where we need to see growth, where we did really well. And then go into, letting them kind of give me some feedback of, what they think about, how we went about things, or, where they think they might want more work at. And then ultimately we go into just how we want to play the game, our attitude, our beliefs, our goals, and then we usually finish it at our goals. So that's where we start in the fall. We start in that meeting, and then we progress to the field.
So cool, man. And I think one of the great pieces of that process, right, is the introduction of the objective data first, right? We're showing,
Right.
here's where we stood last
That's
year, right?
exactly, yep. That's exactly what we did. Yep.
And so especially even like you get this cool dynamic, like you mentioned, you get JUCO guys coming in, you get freshmen coming in who necessarily like they probably haven't felt that type of meeting before anyway,
Correct. Yeah. Ever.
and now you
Yeah.
feel the weight of the older guys. Like this was us, right?
Right.
Here's where we need
Right.
to develop. Here's something that we did really well. Look what we did. Here's how we did it,
Right.
right? And so
Right.
that's a huge selling point for those younger guys, and it definitely a motivating piece for the older guys to continue to carry on what they did well and address the aspects that maybe needs more development, right? So
Right.
that's so cool, man.
Right.
That's awesome.
And then another thing, just to kind of throw in there, just to I don't know, maybe give some coaches some ideas, but
Yeah.
I like it. Jose likes it. It fires us up, anyways. But at the end of the PowerPoint, we throw in a play, an National League Championship Series play. Again, it was Cardinals versus the Diamondbacks. I think it was like '03, and my dad I don't know. It was a big spot in the game, and it was a ball in shallow right, and he just goes 100 miles an hour, catches it, tumbles into the wall, and then we show a 13 pitch at bat in the NLCS. He's as a leadoff hitter against Kurt Schilling, and he ends up getting a base knock the other way to left. So it's just like two different. Obviously, one's on the offensive side, one's on the defensive side, but it just shows us what type of ball players we want, right? Like we want dudes that are gonna bring the juice, that are gonna go all out, that are gonna make plays, and then we're gonna bring dudes that are gonna be warriors, right? We're gonna be,
Cool.
it doesn't matter the how what type of game it is, whether it's big leagues, Division II, summer ball, whatever. We're going to battle and we're going to end up winning. So,
That's so awesome.
that's kind of like an ender we like to do every year. And I think it fires the guys up. So
I'm
it
sure.
might just be us. It might just be us, but hey.
Hey, either way, right? They feed off our energy, right? That's the way that
Right,
dynamic
right,
works a lot of the time. So that's so
right,
cool. Well, and
right,
one of the aspects that I like is again that process of introducing information, what your standards are, what your goals are, is super important. And it's funny after every year I go back to whatever I present, right? So a lot of
right,
it's even if it's our PowerPoint on where we're playing, what our stakes are, right?
right,
And I start to address like even like small changes in our stakes based on the data that we got last year, right? So we start to see, oh wait, this positioning didn't play very well for us. Maybe we adjusted to
right,
here.
right,
And you're never perfect, but I think one of the things that I get jazzed about at the end of the year because you're so bummed at the end of the year because it's like it's over, right?
right, right,
But you have the data now, and now you make
right.
your adjustments and you get ready to reload.
100%.
And there's
Yep.
there's a beauty in that. Like it ended, but I
There
learned a whole
is.
lot, right?
That those ebbs and flows, man, is just. I mean, just. I think that's why they say baseball is so equivalent to life, because it's the ebbs and flows. Like you said, you recalibrate, you reload, and you go. So yeah, I agree.
So cool. And I think one of the questions that I've posed to some of the other guests, and we've had some different answers here. So I'd love to get your thoughts on it. A lot of the data that I receive, right? And so the example I used previously was stakes, but even when it comes to like when to cut the infield in and stuff like that, a lot of my beliefs have shifted or changed over time, and a lot of that's personnel dependent and situation dependent, obviously. So are there any situation dependent things or maybe some technique notes that you've maybe altered along your coaching path?
You know what? We, especially us, Jose does a really, really good job. Jose and Mark Lindsay on our scouting reports
Yeah.
for every series, and it's it goes back even 2 years sometimes. So we have a really good system in place where We meet as a coaching staff before the series. Most of the time, it's on the bus. Because we have some hours on the bus to kind of go over it, and we go over each hitter, what we're thinking, where we want to play them. And then ultimately, like, we have that plan, but it's all about the game, right? So we'll go into it with that plan, and most of the time, we stick to it. But you never know if you never know what situation is going to arise, and you're going to pitch a guy differently, and you got to adjust to that. You adjust to the game. Like Jose always says, we're going to play the book, whatever the book says. So we go in with that plan based on our scouting reports, based on, like you said, based on numbers from a year, or it could be 2 years ago, on how we want to play guys, and then we roll with that, trust it. And if we get beat, we get beat, but we're gonna live and die by that scouting report and by the numbers. So yeah.
That's so cool. And so let's kind of shift here. When you're recruiting an infielder, right? And this is more for those players who are looking at your school saying, "Hey, I want to play there. What can I do to stand out?" What are some things that defensively that you see and you say, "You know what? That kid looks like he can ball. I want him on my team."
You know what? The more I do this, the more games I'm out watching over the summer or whatever. Even in the spring sometimes. It sticks out to me when guys, you know, when guys look like Latin infielders. I don't know
Yeah,
how else to say it. They look
yeah.
like
Like there's a flow to it. Yeah,
Dominicanos. Like my
yeah,
dad says. You got some Dominicano in them. That's why I like. Guys that play with some flow. Guys that their feet don't stop and they're fielding. Some, like, I seen a kid this summer out at the game, and he had really good feet, really lanky, wiry guy. But he was doing everything exactly how it's taught, except he'd field everything with one hand and get rid of it. But it'd be really smooth. And where some coaches would be like, "Why is he fielding it with one hand?" I was like, damn, that kid actually looks smooth. Like, he looks
yeah.
like he's Dominican. And I think
Hmm.
he was, we're by the border, so
Yeah.
I think he was Mexican. We were recruiting him, so we
Hmm.
still are recruiting him. So hopefully he hears this. But
Hmm.
as I do this, like, that's kind of what sticks out to me when I see some guys with some flow. Obviously, we don't want too flashy, right? We don't want the eye
Hmm.
wash that can't do it during the games. But if you can, and you have some swag to you, some flow to you, like, that's what we want to see. We don't want to see robots. I
Yeah.
want to see dudes that can, with some flow, that are. And then another thing too that I like watching kids is kids that they're not scared to make mistakes. Hey, some kids we'll go out there and try to make plays, and it doesn't work out all the time. But I like kids that are gamers like that, and they're gonna try and make plays instead of maybe pulling up and letting it get through, or whatever, or
Hmm.
seeing a kid going into the hole, and catching the ball to his left, spinning and going. Where a lot of kids at that age, they're not confident in doing that. You know what I mean. So yeah, I like that too. Guys that aren't scared to lay it out there. So
I dig it. It's kind of like you're riding that line, right? You've got to show us that you got a sticky mitt. You're able to pocket things. But then we also want to see the high percentage receptions, right? We
right,
want to see you be able to create outs. So
right,
so finding that mix of, okay, I've got a leadoff guy. My angles might need to be a little bit more aggressive, and then that, okay, I need to create outs. I need to create quality patterns, post reception, things like that.
right,
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. That's so cool.
right.
So Jordan, this is the last question I got for you here. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
we close with this almost every time, and I think selfishly I want to hear this from you because I know your journey, and it's inspiring for me, and I know for a lot of other coaches out there. What are 3 lessons learned that you can share from the route that you've taken up to this point?
Um, the first thing that sticks out is, you know, especially being in the college landscape, is for kids coming up and getting ready to make decisions and stuff like that. Go where you're wanted. Go to a program that honestly wants you, and wants to help you become a good baseball player, wants to help you get to the next level. I see so many kids making decisions for the wrong reasons, and I think that um, that hurts to see. That's all. That's the only way I can put it, is it
Right.
hurts to see. I'll say that's number one. Another lesson is don't ever be afraid to ask people questions. I'd say there would be times where I'd be kind of afraid to reach out to someone, and then after I just say, you know what, I'm going to, and next thing you know, like, dude, they're awesome. We're talking all the time. They're giving me advice all the time. I think you got to kind of have some feel when it
Yeah.
comes to that.
For sure. For
Like
sure.
don't harass people. And obviously, if you're not getting a certain vibe from someone, don't keep hammering the nail. But that's another thing, man. Is like, just don't be afraid to put yourself out there, ask questions, because no one has all the answers.
Right.
A lot of people might think they do, but no one has all the answers. There's always things you can learn. There's always better things you could learn, better ways to do things. Um, and then lastly, I'll end with this is my junior college coach at Sacramento City College. He's now assistant general manager for the Mariners, Andy McKay. He would always tell me when I was a player, but even more so in the last couple of years as a coach, just enjoy being where your feet are.
Yeah.
Really, truly love being where your feet are, and whatever's supposed to happen will happen from there. If you love where you're at and you give it all you got, and you're loving doing it, you're on the right path.
That's awesome.
Whatever your path is supposed to be, you're on the right path.
That's so
Uh,
good. Wow.
so, you know, that's I would say those three things. A line my dad always uses till this day. I remember when I was a kid, he'd be dragging me running up hills with him and stuff, and it's just keep digging, like keep digging.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that sticks with me today when I'm running 6 miles or something. I'm dying. It's just like keep digging.
Yep.
So for what that's worth,
That's awesome.
something small.
That's awesome. Well, Jordan, thank you so much for jumping on the show. Special shout out to the Baseball Blue Book Network for partnering with us. Shout out to Valley Sports for being a sponsor. Wow. Thank you so much, Jordan, for being here. This was a blast, man.
No, anytime. Thanks, Cody. Thanks for always being humble in yourself and reaching out. And I always appreciate talking to you. And you're a good dude, so I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Well, thank you, listeners, and we'll catch you next time.